Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from vacation still, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at Friday night, closing out the week here, Nate, with a little 8-game slate, I believe we've got for tonight. So a couple of things we're going to look at here. And this one, we are taking a look at Cleveland. They are in Golden State. Looking at a few things with the total there, I believe, but we'll get into all that here in just a minute. Like and subscribe to that page. Check out the other game video we have up for you guys tonight and our player props video that we bring you guys these each and every weekday of the regular season. Also, head to thelines.com. That's where we have our great written content for you guys. Nate's got his props and everything up there each and every weekday as well. Also have our great odds finder tool and all those articles. You can use that to go ahead and shop these lines and player props to the best of your ability across U.S. sportsbooks. Nate, let's get into these lines here for tonight and then talk all things Cavs and Dubs.
Yeah, first game on the slate, I'll definitely be interested in watching. I don't know where to bet on it, but the Nuggets right now, plus 4.5 at Boston. That spread growing a little bit. The total's shrinking to 230. Interesting there, the way Boston plays offense and not as much defense. Suns are -7 at Orlando. The Pistons +9 at the Knicks. That's a pretty big spread there. Bucks without Giannis or Drew, in addition to whoever they were missing already, +2.5 at the Spurs. Raptors without Pascal, -5.5 at Thunder. Wolves Grizzlies, that's another one to watch. Maybe not to bet, but +4 right now for Mini at Memphis. I think if that gets any smaller, I would take Memphis for sure. Then the games we're going to talk about are on the West Coast. We got Cavs +2.5 at Warriors. And then the other video, right now the Kings are -3 at the Lakers. It's fluctuated a bit. The spread here, pretty negligible, +2. I think it opened at, creeping up a little bit for the Cavs. The total actually got down to 228 for a minute. It's been bet up another point. And I would absolutely hammer it if you can get it at 228 or anywhere below 230, I think. The over is definitely in play when you have these two teams going up against each other, when you have two just absolutely transcendent scorers for this as the starting point here. I mean, because Darius Garland is also quickly reestablished himself as an absolute bucket. Karis LeVert can be hot and cold, but if he's hot, then the Cavs are going to light it up here against a really, really bad Warriors defense that maybe you could say some of that's skewed by their long road trip. They didn't play that well on the road. Well, they came home and they did not play well against Sacramento. Defensively, they allowed the Kings to get up 43s, 30 free throw attempts. Warriors are dead last in free throws allowed, and in their last 3 now, they're allowing 35 free throws a game. So Garland and Mitchell and LeVert should just be getting to the rim at will, getting to the line, or kicking out to open shooters. And this season, it's kind of an interesting reverse home road splits where usually the Dubs are lower scoring at home, slower at home. Not the case, right? At home this year, they're scoring 123 versus 112 on the road. Their pace goes up 6 possessions from 99 to 105. Their defense is a little bit better in terms of rating, but they're still giving up 117 per game. So that adds up to totals of 240 here. They opened the season with 4 of their first 5 at home. All of those went over. And their one roadie in there at Phoenix went over. And I bring that up because what's Phoenix got? They've got 2 elite scoring guards that can, come right back if Steph Curry goes nuts. And that's pretty much what we come to expect here. My notes here for the Warriors just open with bad defense and then Stephen Curry and all the amazing things he does. Is a first in offensive win shares, offensive box plus minus by a landslide here. 3rd in PER, despite being 2nd in points per game. And I think it's just like a situation where him and Mitchell should bring out the best in each other. I mean, they haven't necessarily gotten to shootouts when Donnie was on Utah lately. That's a completely different scheme and situation. And Donnie, now just really you see him coming out trying to dispel some of the narratives that is surrounded around him because he was associated with that sleepwalking Jazz team that would just win a bunch of regular season games and then just bow out, and people would say, "Oh, well, can Mitchell be the guy?" He's like averaging like 35 a game in the playoffs. Like, what do you want him to do? And now he's on like a legit loaded team and proving he can be the guy for sure. Alongside Garland, who's happy to defer, but then also take over when he needs to. Cavs are averaging the 7th most points per game, 2nd best 3-point percentage. They are 7-3 to the over right now since their opener. They're at the 5th game of a roadie here. So we can get into their home road splits later, but let's just say it again favors overs. And you look at their last 2 road games, they gave up 17 threes to the Clippers, including a late run to lose that game, 17 threes to the Kings, and 35 free throw attempts to the Kings. And they're allowing opponents to shoot 40% from 3 in their last 3 here on the road. So now you get the Warriors. So if you can't guard the 3-point line, you're going to be chasing points, and that's why I think both teams will be scoring a lot here.
Totally, man. You did great there. That was awesome. I really enjoyed that because there was some really good stuff there. I mean, it's all I don't. A lot of times we look at stuff, right? And we're always looking for like different stats. We're looking for angles, and we're usually just trying to sort of support a claim that we might make with solid evidence that supports it. But sometimes we have alternative thoughts where we're like, well, maybe, this could be misleading. I just feel like everything is so solid in what you just said. There's nothing that I could really chip away at, which is, right now at home, the Dubs are just a different team. 0-6 versus 4-1, right? Just start there. But then, like you said, when I asked you earlier, when we were talking about what we were going to discuss, I was like, the Cavs +2, right? Like the Cavs are a really good team. And when Curry doesn't score, close to 40 points, I don't know if the Dubs can beat good teams. And then I said, well, maybe there's some Dubs home road splits I need to look at real quick before we just say pick the Cavs as underdogs. And that's exactly the case, right? And they're not playing defense anywhere. So it's worse on the road. And their offense is way, way better at home, but their defense is bad everywhere. 117 points given up at home. Obviously, when you play at 107 pace, that's going to impact it greatly. So the rating isn't quite as bad as maybe 117 points sounds when you're playing at 107 possessions in a game. But I guess for this one, I do think there's no way to me that offense isn't really just in coming in droves in this one. When you look at what both teams don't do well, and the fact that I think there's going to be also a good amount of points off of turnovers, there's going to be some sloppiness. Donnie, as good as he's been this season, he is diming up a bit more at about 6 a game, which is definitely the most he's ever had when he was on the Jazz. That was the most he would ever have is 6 a game in a season. That was one time, but it's this, also more than 3 turnovers, right? So it's all coming at the expense of trying to make things happen, having the ball in his hands for just not only the high usage rate, but he's playing 39 minutes a game in all 10 games. I believe he missed 1. So he's staying in there. And if he's going to have, even a usage rate at close to 30 or more, like he has been, while he's playing 39 minutes in a game, then yeah, all the stats for him and all the things that we'll probably talk about on player props, we got to continue looking at overs for him. And just the fact that he is now taken sort of the team has his identity, right, in terms of the way that it's scoring as well, the way that he's getting into the lane, but also the 3-point shooting increasing. It's odd to a degree that, there isn't better wing defense for them. But really, at the end of the day, when it's he and Garland on the floor, and then you've got Karis LeVert as your main ball handler coming in off the bench, not leading to much wing defense once again, that's not surprising either. So yeah, Dubs at home, man, like they're telling us how they're going to do things right now. Look, they're trying to get different guys into the lineup. You're seeing at least one, if not 2 of these youngsters between, guys like Moody and Kuminga and Wiseman, mainly those 3. One of 3 of them are getting 20 minutes in a game. They're making the statement that they're going to be playing these young guys and that they're okay allowing them to kind of come along and being middle of the pack right now, knowing that they still can sort of continue to make a run and sort of find their footing a little bit, as they get closer to the playoffs when it's time to grind. So it's right now I'm not scared of them. But yeah, to your the point that you made earlier, it's not like I really want to touch the spread here when I just feel really good about this game being close to 240, if not more.
Yeah, I mean, and you talk about playing those young guys and how bad that makes the second unit defensively for the Warriors, and then the Cavs can stagger those guys and continue to get buckets. And the starting unit just isn't playing good defense for the Warriors. I mean, we keep coming back to it, but it's a big freaking deal when Draymond Green could have shattered Jordan Poole's jaw, and now both those guys are kind of playing really poorly this year, and especially Draymond. His defensive rating the last four here is about 118, which is completely out of the norm for him. And the fact that the Warriors are giving up so many easy buckets. Such high percentage inside the arc, I believe the second highest, and all these free throw attempts, they're not connected. They're not on a string, which is what Draymond does as that leader, as the safety of the defense, if you will, keeping them connected and able to stop really good offensive teams, and they haven't even been able to stop pretty bad offensive teams. They're allowing the third most points overall and the third most points in the fourth quarter. So it's not like they're even necessarily closing you out. And then, Clay is not going to be the defensive stopper you need on Donnie Mitchell at all. So I think the way these teams trade punches and the way I again come back to the free throws, which is so key. If you're going to bet an over, you want to see the opportunity for a lot of free throws here for the time stop, and for points to be going up on the board here. I think it's just there's a lot of evidence here. I pretty much went over it, so I think we stick with that. But the pace, which you come back to, they are leading the league in pace. The Warriors, they closed their long roadie with a 97 pace in New Orleans, trying to slow it down, and so that was an under. Then they come back home and go right back up to 102 versus Sacramento. And I mentioned that Sac had plenty of opportunities to get their buckets. I think they still went over, or they went to 229 in that game, right? The last game, pretty close. But I think that the Cavs have a lot more versatility on offense than the Kings did.
Yeah, and the similarity too will be the fact that the Dubs can't stop the point guard position, as we say. I mean, Klay Thompson's defensive rating is pretty good for this team. It's close to 110, 109 and a half or so. So not awful as an individual defensive rating, but De'Aaron Fox got his over as we liked in that game. And I think we feel good about Spida doing the same thing tonight. So
the Kings are -3 at the Lakers. Was -2.5. I saw it get up to -4, and now it's creeping a little bit back down here. Look, we like the Kings. We probably would like them up to -5 or so, because the Lakers are, let's face it, one of the 5 worst teams in the NBA, and it's not even debatable at this point. And they don't have LeBron James. He is doubtful. Lonnie Walker, who has actually become maybe their 4th most important player. I mean, depending how much mud you want to sling at those 3 stars, the big 3, maybe he's better than some of them on a given night. But he's questionable with an illness, and so we don't know. And then Anthony Davis is probable with a lower back, but with Anthony Davis, you can always say probable to go to the locker room if anything happens. And he just hasn't been the same player this year or recently. And that's why without LeBron, the Lakers have lost 15 of their last 19 games. And the offense, which is already ugly with LeBron in there, who they averaged 12 turnovers to 21 assists. They hit just 10 threes at a 32% clip. And their defense gets even worse, 117 defensive rating. The fact that LeBron happened to lead the NBA in negative plus minus, I'm not really going to detract that from him. I mean, that's more just speaks to how bad the Lakers are overall. So I don't think that they're going to somehow get better without LeBron James, the way we talk about with some other ball dominant guards. I do think Westbrook's going to be a little bit more free to do his Westbrook thing and pad stats, but that has not led to wins lately. I mean, the narrative has been, the Westbrook's coming off the bench, they look a little better, but they're still losing by double digits to not particularly great teams. They can't hit threes, and the Kings right now, with Mike Brown at the helm, are playing that kind of pack-it-in defense we've seen Mike Budenholzer kind of perfect, and Mike Brown's been around a long time. He knows his personnel. He knows how to defend in the NBA. He coached the Lakers 10 years ago. He coached LeBron twice. So the fact that they're allowing the second most 3-point attempts is great when he faced the Lakers, right? Which is dead last in 3-pointers, 29th in makes, and if they don't have Lonnie Walker, that is a huge guy who can hit a shot for them. And then the Lakers defense, while pretty solid in the half court, allowing the 4th most fast break points per game, big trouble against the Aaron Fox and company, getting the 8th most fast break points this year. The Kings are a lot better than their 4-6 record would indicate, and that I feel like we're always saying that when we look at the Kings. Like, well, they're a few games below 500, but we will definitely take them as road dogs. And sure enough, I think they've covered in 4 of their last 5 in LA or against the Lakers at Crypto/Staples. The one time they didn't win last January, they still were damn close to covering. And you know who actually did the most damage against them? A little shooting guard named Malik Monk, who is now wearing a Kings uniform. So Lakers let another good one go, another laser, as LeBron likes to say. And yeah, they have no offense. You have no offense, you will have no chance.
Facts. Man, I'm so glad you brought up Malik Monk. Love that guy. Throw him on the list. The Caruso, Kuzma, KCP, all the solid wing players. And I know he's a tall guard, not the best offensive player, but like, I don't know, there was a string last year where like he kind of carried them to like, I think they won like 4 out of 6, and our man's was averaging 20 plus in that stretch. So, same concept here. He's upped his game. It's been a tale of 2 halves in a way for this team. Easy for me to say. In the 11 or 10 games that they've played so far this season, for the Kings, right? Like the first 4 versus the last 6, and everything they've done in the last 6 is that like what you said. It's almost like they needed a few games to kind of get into Mike Brown's flow. And the way that he wanted this offense to work, right? So at first, it was still them struggling to be able to hit threes outside of really Keegan Murray, who was really solid in the first 4. Weirdly, there's this sort of anti-correlation, if you will, negative correlation, where Keegan Murray was really good in the first 4 and they weren't winning. He's been really bad in the last 6 and they have been winning, but it ties to the exact same another inverse trend there where Sabonis was awful in his first 4 and he's very, very good in his last 6, right? And sort of found his flow in the game. He's gotten to the line a couple more times in his last 6 a game. He's gotten he's raised his field goal percentage from 50 to 57%, which is really a huge deal for someone who's not shooting more than 1 3 a game at the most when he even does get a 3-point attempt, because he's doing everything from inside the arc, as we know. So getting to the free throw line, increasing that field goal percentage is huge for him. That's why he's got 6 more points a game, another board a game more so, and the same 6 assists, which he's looked really good passing for this team in and out of the post. So, in the last 6 for them, they've turned it around to become the 6th best offense in the league. They've upped their true shooting percentage to 3rd best in the league. They're still hitting, this is what their team is now. It's the opposite of last season in terms of, the 5th most highest percentage of their points off of 3. But they're also getting defensive rebounds, which they weren't doing last season. They were getting more offensive rebounds. They were doing more Rashawn Holmes style things where he was getting obviously closer to 30 minutes a game last year. Now he's down to about 12 and is a backup center, which no disrespect to the man, but like he shouldn't be a starting center or power forward on a team that you expect to win at least 50% of its games. And I think this year at 4-6 right now, like you said, it's a little bit misleading. I'm not even going to go ahead and continue to talk about the Lakers. If they don't have LeBron, just whatever, call it. Lonnie Walker, if he's not playing, which it doesn't seem like as well, not helpful, but I wouldn't really care if he was. This is just one of the worst teams in the league without LeBron. We can't even piss on his plus minus because they have the second worst plus minus overall as a team. Like you were saying, it's not about him, it's about this team overall. So without him, they're even worse than the second worst team in the league, let's say right now, at least the worst offense in the league. So I would be scared to take points of any kind, even though both these teams are playing at 2 of the fastest paces. The Lakers the fastest pace, and then the Kings are like 9th fastest in the league. But I would take a Kings over, and I would continue to feel good about some of these Kings players and maybe a few of their props as like just it's over for the Lakers. This is a wonderful example of a great opportunity that we had to take the Kings over in wins, which we feel good about again, and still feel really great about the Lakers under in wins, which I'll remind everyone was at 52.5. They are 2-9.
It was 45.5, I think.
Oh, was that? Oh, am I wrong? Okay, yeah,
Yeah. The Clippers, that was way overcast
that's what, right,
at 50
right,
plus, and we were like, oh, absolutely
yeah,
not.
right,
And my full capitulation, I was trying to short the Lakers in a positive way and say LeBron and AD are gonna have a revenge season and they're gonna get over this win total. And boy, that looks stupid. But now we get a chance to bet in the season, of course. And
right.
you talk about LeBron being out. I think the one angle to look at there is with some props. I don't really have the confidence to make it one of our biggest picks here, but Westbrook, I mean,
Yeah.
these are kind of high, though. 21.5 points, 37.5 PRA for Westbrook on FanDuel. That's the first thing to open up here. I am kind of interested in that, though. And the under, actually, in Anthony Davis at 25.5, because, again, I mean,
Yeah.
if you know what it's like when you get over 30 and you have lower back tightness and you go out there and try to play basketball, it usually doesn't end well. After like 2 jumps, you're like, oh, there goes the back. And we know Anthony Davis doesn't usually gut these things out. I mean, no disrespect in any way. It's just like, yeah, if you're hurt, you're early in the season, you're probably going to bow out. Even without LeBron, he had 25 against the Kings this last time out, and now they're just a much better interior defensive team. Richaun Holmes, who, they can just throw out there as a primary defender on Davis. They usually alternate between him and Sabonis, but they sacrifice some offense without Sabonis out there. I mean, you can go double big against this Lakers team because they don't have good perimeter play. So I think Mike Brown has plenty of options to try to slow Davis down, and you're actually getting slight plus odds on him to go under 25.5. So little bonus player props pick there.
Yeah, a little bonus for you. No, I dig it all, and yeah, just Kings in this one, man. This line is misconstrued, right? Like this can't possibly be correct. I think maybe still this early in the season, if you see a line that involves a game with the Kings and the Lakers, we're all just conditioned for more than the last 2 to 3 decades to just take the Lakers, and that's why it still remains around 3. But I would take this. I'm probably going to adjust this line for the Kings. I think that the way that they've been playing the last 6 games is who they are, rather than the way that they started the season. So, Nate, let's go ahead and kick things off with your first play, a prop for tonight.
Nikola Jokic in the first game on the slate here with the Celtics hosting the Nuggets. That total opened at 233 and it's crept down to 229. And if it keeps going down, I think you could look at the over here. I mean, 2 of the most efficient offenses in the league, not necessarily great interior defenses. With Rob Williams out, the Celtics are 24th in defensive rating this year, and also same in free throw rate. And I think Jokic at 23.5 points here, it's low because he hasn't hit that in his last 3 against the Celtics. He only got 10 free throw attempts in those 3 games. He shot 17 for 43 from the floor. And I credit Rob Williams with a lot of that defense. And then his 2 meetings prior against Boston, when Rob was coming off the bench, was still a factor, but not their main defensive stopper. Joker had 43 and 30. I mean, you can't hold down the MVP forever. He did have exactly 23 in his last 2 against the Celtics. And we're looking at a little bit of extra rest for him. In their last game at Indy, the Nuggets, he played only 24 minutes due to foul trouble. He had 21 points on a 43% usage rate. That is a season high by far. It was already starting to ramp up to a little bit, him looking to score more. I mean, early in the season, clearly they're looking at making an effort to get Murray and Porter more integrated on offense, and Porter is still firing away, but the Nuggets, they know they got to win games here. This is not an easy game where you can just choose who you want to get going. They're going to need Jokic's offense against the Celtics team that is just lighting it up on the other side of the floor. So I see him getting over that with the points for sure. Also, the rebounds is you add 11 rebounds, you get 34.5 for points and rebounds. I would tack that on as well. The Celtics give up the 4th most rebounds per game to centers right now. They are not crashing the glass. They shoot a lot of threes, and that means reasonable rebounds. And then again, with the extra rest, last year when Joker had 2 days of rest, he averaged 15 boards a game, which is like 1.5 more than he did in normal situations. So I think he will be giving you a nice double-double here to get you over that prop if you want to combine it.
Yeah, I'm with it, man. I mean, I think the Celtics are going to win this game for sure. To be honest with you, I like them a lot. I mean, the Nuggets not showing much on the road, to be honest with you, especially against the spread, and it's not too big. But I'm not too worried about a blowout. I suppose I could see one, right? Like I could see a C's blowout tonight, to be honest with you. But look, with Joker, yeah, the way he's been playing, it's been a little bit less about the points with him this season. So I might be inclined to go ahead and take the rebounds as well. But still, because I feel good about him getting double digits. It's about 11, including that on top of the points. So I think that's where my preference lies. But I'm not going to fight you on anything you do with Joker tonight against a team that doesn't have Rob Will III. So moving on to a game that we did talk about there with that Dubs and Cavs game in Golden State. Mr. Spider Mitchell, we hinted very strongly that we'd be talking about him in this player props video. His point sits at 27.5. Over that is minus 110 on DK. 30 plus in the W is really, really nice. It's about 3-1 on your money on FanDuel specifically. Plus 290 is where that's got the best price for you guys. I consider it. I don't feel strongly about one of these teams winning. I feel like I'd get bitten in the ass if I just kind of come out here boldly and claim that the Dubs or that the Cavs are going to beat the Dubs at home. 4-1 are the Dubs at home. But I do love the points in this one. I mean, he's averaging well more than the 27.5 there, about 32 a game on the season, which is good for third best. He's actually averaging 6 more at home, Nate. So 34 points per game on the road this season.
6 more on the road.
Yeah, I meant the road. Yeah,
we're on the road.
Exactly. Yeah, 6 more on the road where they're playing tonight. 34 per game on the road. So you feel even better about that. His offensive rating on the road is 131 individually, 31.5% usage rate. Right. So he's continuing to play a lot of minutes, as we talked about, 39 a game, which is the most in the league. With the still just the 13th highest usage rate, which is wild. 31% is still a very, very high usage rate, but actually it's outside the top 10. But he's also, we talk about the Dubs in that video. We talk about the Dubs really, really bad on defense. Really bad on defense in the fourth quarter, where they give up the most points a game. Donnie's actually second most, really. Seth Curry's in there with one fourth quarter he's played this year. He had like 13 points. But Kyrie is the only player who's actually played a few games this season that has more points per game than Donnie, who's chucking up about 6 shots per fourth quarter, right? So in that fourth quarter, I think you expect him to come alive, which is also why I kind of feel better about the Cavs, who have been actually come back twice now while they were down going into a fourth quarter, that they've won a game by double digits because Donnie kind of goes off. So I feel really good about him getting 30 points in this one, and I'm probably going to be a sucker enough to sprinkle some on that 3-1 for the 30 points and a W for the Cavs.
Yeah, I think there's a narrative there for that. I mean, the Cavs are damn good, and they've kind of done a double trap game leading up to this one. They're on a 5-game roadie. They dropped them at the Clippers. They had the Clippers buried and then gave up a 17-2 run to lose that game. Then they lost to the Kings, who we like, and I think they're looking ahead at this one, which is your one chance to beat the Warriors at their house. Donnie Mitchell. Yeah. Of course, we'll be happy to trade buckets with Steph Curry and company. The Warriors playing no defense. They're playing at the fastest pace in the league. As a fan, you want to see both those guys hit their props tonight. It's him and Steph, and just treat us to a shootout. And that's why I don't think we're really betting the line in any way. It really just depends on it. It'll be a make or miss situation, but I think both offenses should have plenty of flow going. The Knicks are -9 at home, which is the biggest part that makes me worry about taking an over on one of their main guys here. Julius Randle, the points right now are 20.5, and he's been getting buckets inside and out. I'm more interested, I think, in him to hit 3 threes, which is plus 140. I think you can get it at different sites right now. He's been feeling himself from 3, and it's completely unsustainable for him to have shot 53% here in the last 3, hit 15 threes. But, maybe we can squeeze one more game where he at least hits a few, or at least feels confident enough to fire double digit. He went 8 for 13 the other night. And the net, against the Pistons, he shot 5 for 17 his last 4. So they're probably not going to be closing out that hard on him, right? They'd be like, all right, you want to try to beat us from there? Sure. Detroit is obviously a poor defensive team, which is the biggest concern, because they lost 130-106 earlier this season to the Knicks. It was quick work. Randall had 15 points in 25 minutes. In closer games, though, he's up to 28 points per game on a 29% usage rate in those last 3. He's getting fed the ball now that he doesn't have to play some sort of weird point forward. And Detroit does allow the fourth most points to power forwards, fourth most paint points, fifth most rebounds to power forwards. So if Detroit can stay close, I think he has a very good chance to get over his scoring and rebounding props. But I think you could get the threes even if it is a blowout, and Randall just continues to be a streaky shooter and hit a few from deep.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually more surprising to me that he's taken basically 10 a game in the last 3 than anything. But that is a little bit more of the current way that the Knicks are playing, as we see the ball in Brunson's hands a bit more. And so that, guys are spread out a bit more. And then guys like Randall and RJ are also either able to shoot or preferably, honestly, a lot of times drive or slash from that position. But yeah, I mean, I didn't know which Knick I wanted to take. I let you talk us both into Randall, and I don't feel bad about that one either. But I honestly don't have a problem if you wanted to get even Brunson or RJ. Both those guys are like to be able to go off. RJ plays a little bit more of that 4. It's tough to kind of pin these guys into a specific position to say who does or doesn't play well against their position, as RJ and Julius oftentimes play a very similar position, just on opposite sides of the floor. So yeah, look, either way, like I'm not going to tell you not to take any of those guys. I would be a little bit worried about the blowout. I mean, the Knicks have been better against bad teams this season and have not been able to handle some of the better teams that have actually gotten handled by those better teams. So I think this is another opportunity for them to win. I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain another blowout like they did against the Pistons last time in Detroit. So I'm going to finish off the props here tonight, Nate, with Brook Lopez. Look, he played 46 minutes last game against the Thunder. I know they went to overtime, and Javon Carter was more the hero in that one, but he got well over the prop that he's got in this game. 17.5 points. I think I'm going with the rebounds at 7.5 over that, to be honest. And I'm not gonna. I would take the points as well against this Spurs team that is just so bad on defense, like so bad on defense. One of the worst, definitely the worst defensive rating, and then just in terms of allowing teams to do everything in the paint and 3-point. Which is the 2 most important spots on the court, right? All around the 3-point line. They're third worst in the paint. They allow the most points, do the Spurs. So that's where Brook does all of his work, right? It's either going to be in the paint getting rebounds on offense, or he's going to be outside, getting a 3-point attempt. He had 21 3-point attempts in this field goal attempts. 23 field goal attempts in those 46 minutes with a 23% usage rate in that last game, where there was no Giannis, there was no Drew, there's no Chris Middleton, no Pat Connaughton, no Joe Ingles, right? Like, so this is it. It's him and Jordan Nwora who are going to be getting the usage rates for this team tonight, and I feel pretty good about Brook able to get those with in that situation. The last 4 games without Giannis, all of the in this calendar year, but dating back to last season, 19 points a game, 5 boards. That's all in 24 minutes. You got to assume that he's playing closer to roughly 35 minutes tonight that you would expect him to get, as opposed to more of that bench role that he normally plays when Giannis isn't in. Last season, the only reason I think he got 24 minutes a game when Giannis wasn't playing was Brook was actually coming back from injury, and Drew and Chris were both playing in those games, both of whom will not be there tonight. I already told you how bad San Antonio is on defense. They also are specifically bad, obviously, if they're giving up a ton of points in the paint. It's because they're giving those up to opposing centers, where they do allow the 5th most points and the 8th most rebounds. So it's Brook Lopez, man, against this really bad team. He's still a really good, efficient offensive player, so I'm going to feel good about that.
I don't feel good about this at all. I mean, the fact that he put up that huge line and played so many minutes 2 nights ago, and the fact that the line opens with the Bucks as underdogs, and you're like, hang on, why are the Bucks under? Oh, because nobody's playing, and they might just be taking a scheduled loss. And the fact that it's the Spurs, who, while they're bad, I mean, they're never undisciplined, right? They know how to handle their personnel, and Brolo, granted on much lower usage, averages 10 points and under 5 boards in 6 against the Spurs. I mean, he does have Giannis out there a lot. I mean, I think we would have rather taken one of the guards or wings here on the Bucks. The props just aren't out yet. It's actually the rookie Beauchamp. I don't know how to pronounce it. Beauchamp, who played 30 minutes last time. I think I'd be interested in him or Grayson Allen, who had foul trouble against the Thunder last time. I think I'd be interested in either of those guys seeing a spike in usage rather than it being the Javon Carter Brolo show in a second consecutive game, because those guys are old, and I don't think you're going to expect them to carry your offense on a nightly basis. with that when your 2 stars are out. So I think look for the young guys more in this matchup.
Yeah. There's nothing there for me to look at right now. But I stand by what I said with Brolo in this one. Javon Carter had one of the greatest quotes the other night after the game when they won 136-132 in overtime. And the reporter asked him, Javon, when did you know that you were going to have? When did it come to you that you realized you were going to have a big night tonight? He goes, when I woke up. So I love that confidence for that man. That is all the time we have for you in these props tonight. Looking to close out the week strong after another solid week with these player props. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. And until we see you next on Monday, happy betting.